Now, let's consider the following mathematical concept. Take any vector P such that P is not null. In other terms, this vector has at least one non-null complement, positive or negative, is not important. We take any W, any real number W, positive, null, negative, no restriction. Our symbols are the same of the price system and well, effectively in our economic application, this will be the meaning of these entities, but generally speaking, P is nothing but an n-dimensional vector, a non-null n-dimensional vector, and W is nothing but a real number. So define the hyperplane H of P and F, which is nothing but the set of the heads which belongs to an dimensional real space, such that the inner product between P and X is exactly equal to that, which is an hyperplane. The term hyperplane means that in the case of two dimensions, m equal to 2, as we shall see in a moment, the hyperplane is nothing but a straight line. In the three-dimensional context, the hyperplane is nothing but a plane, and in the general context of any number of coordinates, you obtain a hyperplane. For example, in the two-dimensional case, the hyperplane is the set of X which verifies these coordinates. And this is nothing but the equation of a straight line. Three-dimensional, so we obtain in a two-dimensional setting. A straight line like these, okay. While in the three-dimensional setting, you have three dimensions, 1, 2, 3, and this set is nothing but a plane, whose inclinations are given by these the components of P, or which refer to the two-dimensional case. In this case, the hyperplane is nothing but a straight line. Note that the assumption that P is not null is fundamental, because if P were null, the null vector, this linear product would be 0. And only in the case in which W is 0, this equality would have a real solution. So if P were 0 and W is 0, every point in the n-dimensional real space verifies these conditions. But if P is 0 and W is not 0, there are no points which verify this equality. So it is necessary, in order to avoid these extreme cases, we must suppose that P has at least one negative component. Well, suppose that this is our hyperplane. The hyperplane divides the entire Euclidean space in two half spaces. In reality, not vector spaces, but translated spaces. Or the points which are above the hyperplane and the points which are below the hyperplane. In other terms, the points which verify this condition as a majority, and the points which are above the hyperplane, and for example this set, and the points which verify this condition as a minority. And these are the points, these are the points which are below the hyperplane. Clearly, below, above, it depends on the sign of P. Because if we consider minus P, the plane remains the same, but the points which are above are those which are here, and those which are below are here. It depends on the sign of P. However, the important thing is that, so to speak, the hyperplane divides in two sets, two common sets, really, the entire n-dimensional Euclidean space. This is the first concept we must introduce. The second fundamental concept is that of separation of sets. Take any two subsets, non-empty subsets of the n-dimensional Euclidean space. We shall say that the hyperplane H of P and A separates A and B if and only if A lies above the hyperplane, for example, and B below. Entirely above, entirely below. In more rigorous terms, for every x in A, the I times psi is equal to 10. And for every y in B, sum I, pi times yi less or equal to 10. In other terms, to return to our two-dimensional case, if you have this set A and this set B, say, then this hyperplane separates A from B. Because note that every point of A is above the hyperplane, above half space, so to speak, while all the points of B are below the hyperplane. More precisely, they verify this set of inequalities. This is the concept of separation of two sets by means of an hyperplane. Huh? Clearly, you can have a strong separation. For example, in this case, clearly, this inequality also in reality has a strict inequality, and also this, if the hyperplane is this. But for other hyperplanes, for example, note, in this case, there is a point away on the hyperplane, so this condition is verified as inequality. Or you can define also strong separation. This is weak separation. Now a problem arises. Under what conditions, where given any two sets A and B, there exists at least a separated hyperplane? It is easy to show that in some cases a separated hyperplane does not exist. In this case, I do not introduce coordinate axes. But clearly, if, for example, you have this set A and this set B, clearly there is no hyperplane which separates A from B. Because any hyperplane such that all the points of A are out, for example, above the hyperplane itself, is such that some points of B are below the hyperplane, but some other points, like these, are above as well. And this is not true. It's not possible. These points will verify this condition as a strict majority, and this is impossible. There is no separation in this case. Here the problem is that A, B, and B has a non-void intersection. But this is not entirely true, because consider these other things. This is A, this is B. Note that A and B, as well, supposing that both A and B are closed sets, as a point in common, X. However, in this case, separation is possible. This particular hyperplane weakly separates A from B. Weakly because the point X, which belongs both to A and B, verifies this condition as an inequality. So, it is possible that there is separation even if our two sets have some point in common. However, the important thing is that they have not internal points in common. But however, it's not important to insist on this point. There is another more fundamental property which is relevant in this context, convex. Because suppose that A and B has no common point. This is A, and this is B. Consider these two sets. Is it possible to separate them? There is an hyperplane which separates A from B, clearly no. Because for every hyperplane such that A is entirely on one side of the hyperplane itself, some points B are on the other part, but some other are the same part of A. So there is no separation, impossible separation in this case. No separated hyperplane exists between A and B. Clearly, the reason is the lack of convexity. The set A is a convex set, while the set B is not a convex set. And in effect, there is a well-known theorem, the separated hyperplane theorem, which permits to individuate a separated hyperplane if our two sets are convex, and verify some other condition. The structure are the following, in the simplest form. 1. A and B have no point in common. Their intersection is empty. 2. A and B are common sets. In this case, you have separation. If A and B has no intersection, and they are convex, then there is at least one separating hyperplane. Possibly, some point of A or B can belong to this set, the hyperplane itself. This is the weakest form of a separated hyperplane theory. Well, it is also possible that A and B have some points in common. So, assumption 1 is not verified. It must be substituted by some weaker condition. For example, in the previous case, this is A, this is B. Here there is a point in common, X, as before, but since both A and B are convex sets, there is a separating hyperplane between them. For example, you can substitute this strong condition by the following. A intersection between A and the internal part of B is empty, and also the intersection between the internal part of A and B is empty. If these two conditions hold, no point of A is an internal point of B, no point of B is an internal point of A, in the internal not on the boundary, then the theorem holds. That's a stronger form of separated hyperplane theory. And so there are many of these theories. But the fundamental one for our economic purposes is the first. Here, convexity is essential. Without convexity, as in this case, A and B are totally disjoint, there is no separating hyperplane. Is it clear? Another possible case when property 1 is not verified, example, note A and B. This point of A, say X, is an internal point of B, is not on the boundary of B. while here all the points which are in common between A and B are on the respective boundary. If in this case there is no separation. I told you, as I told you a moment ago, we shall not prove this theory. It's not a very difficult proof, by the way. It's a long demonstration. It is sufficient to state the theory. For example, in the first form, A and B has not point in common. And so we shall employ this theorem in order to prove the second theorem of welfare economics. But before proving this result, I shall re-illustrate its economic meaning. Does have another break?